Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Once again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. And before I begin this lecture on an important topic, that is research methodology, simply students call it as RM. तो मेरा ये एक प्लान है कि मैं उसको मैक्सिमम सिंपल वर्ड्स में इसको बयान कर सकूं. अच्छा, so the first question arises that what is a research methodology? लेकिन मेरे ख्याल में अगर हम रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी को डायरेक्टली टच करेंगे तो that will create a lot of problems for the newcomers. So मेरे ख्याल के मुताबिक सबसे पहले हमें ये मतलब ये है कि अंडरस्टैंड करना चाहिए कि what a research is या what is a research. तो प्यारे सामीन, ये बात याद रखिए कि इंसान जिबिल्लती तौर पर एक्विजिटिव वाक़ हो चुका है. यानी in simple English we can comfortably say that human beings are by their mental makeup designed to urge, to quest for something new. And this is the beauty of human beings, that the society gets evolved from time to time. However, for our understanding, I may delve into certain very general examples, and I'll begin it right from the Holy Quran, that at one place Almighty Allah gives command to him not to go closer to the shajara, la taqraba hazihi shajara. And still metaphorically in this verse we find that Adam alayhi salam is still going and to search that what lies over there. So from this simple analogy, it is a reference which Almighty Allah has given to us, that human beings by their dispositions are like this. So by it I mean to say, and I want to convey my message, that research, although it seems difficult for some people, but it is very much natural ingredient in all of human beings. In one way or the other way, they are having these instincts, and this is the reason that this whole world is getting on a specific course of action. And it is very much discouraging to note that those societies which we do not call the believers, but still have marched big strides in the way of progress, on the way of development and advancement, because that they have resorted to research and to find new ways of life. So after this, let me begin that what a research is. خير يا جماعة، ما بيقولش مكانه؟ واو نن مې شی څنګه شروع کړل؟ تاسو سپم پکې علي بیا ډسکشن کړو. So we were discussing that this is something natural which pops up in the minds of the people to have research. But before going into such a metaphorical discussion, I would like to highlight the exact meaning of research and then research methodology so that it may be convenient for the listeners and even for the newcomers. Simply if we want to define what is a research, so look at the very word of research, which is composed of two words, re and search, meaning that search again. It also entails that we cannot do research on anything which is completely new. Rather, we should focus on the existing body of knowledge, and from that we will adopt various angles where the problems usually lie. Research is a systematic and objective investigation or study or enterprise, especially the one done in order to discover new knowledge. Research cannot be done for the sake of research. Rather, it will open up new way to the solution of problems, issues, obstacles in our academic and even non-academic aspects of life. It is always directed to the solution of an issue or a problem by adopting some scientific methodologies or style or framework. This is a very common definition given for research. However, when we go ahead, the exact definition of what research methodology is will reveal on us. You will be surely acquainted with what is research methodology, especially in political science or social sciences. What are various types of research in political science? So these sort of questions will be automatically addressed while we proceed in this lecture. Once again, for your kind information, I may give certain examples from the Holy Scriptures, which is full of some sorts of research-centric words or verses. For example, Allah repeatedly, time and again, asks the believers that, do you not believe? Do you not use your sha'ur? Do you not do fikr? أفلا يتفكرون أفلا يتدبرون أفلا تعقلون أفلا تشعرون. And there are so many such verses with emphatic stress in order to be inculcated by the believers. But again, it's a matter of great displeasure that we haven't yet incorporated the essence of these sorts of verses of the Holy Quran. By this, I am trying to convey my message that even by faith, if we are having faith in the Holy Quran and if suppose we are Muslims, still we are given a lot of address, a lot of attention towards research. Research is nothing new. It is just the exercise of mind. And when we do exercise our mind, when we face challenges or problems. So in a short, research methodology is the study of all those methods that we use to identify problem, collecting data for the solution of that problem, and finally we evaluate to reach a conclusion for the solution of a problem. But however, this whole process will continue in a specific manner, scientific manner. I mean to say that haphazard gathering of data and on the basis of it we cannot do a proper and good research. Sometimes the problem may not get settled. We may be doing research, but the problem may not get settled, but the researcher and even the research will contribute food of thinking and practice to the practitioners, commentators, and policy makers in addition to academia. In political science, It often involves finding ways to access empirically driven conclusions about the motivations and objectives of actors involved in politics. Are you getting me? By this we simply mean that political persons, they are taking part in politics, they are playing specific roles in terms of sociology, and how they are performing their roles, how that type or that role can be made more productive and good for the state. So such sorts of things we may cover in the field of research methodology. And empirically driven conclusions means that by research we should not gather unauthentic knowledge. Rather, that should be empirically driven, meaning that will be scientific. There must be certain cause, there must be certain reason, and there will be a lot of complex factors because of which the problem remains so, or the political issue is like that. So in simple words, in a political process or political phenomena, we can see and we can judge the motivation, the political culture, the political beliefs of the people that they demonstrate in the arena of politics. That may be at national level, that may be at subnational level, provincial level, district level, and even at union council level. Research methodology in social sciences is always trying to explain the decision-making process of political leaders by observing their behaviors. This is a very simple and short definition of the research methodology, but still it is not a complete one, and I hope that at the end, once we get through all this data, we will get a comprehensive and compact definition of research methodology. It is also interesting to note that some of my students usually ask me in the classes and seminars that what are the differences between methods, methodologies, and techniques, for example. So inshallah ta'ala, all these sort of questions will be addressed later on. Now, I assure you that after getting through this lecture or presentation, you will be able to begin your research process at least. There are so many types of research, especially in social sciences and natural sciences. For your convenience, I have classified them into various categories or various forms, which I am going to share with you one by one. There are broadly the following categories in the research of social sciences and especially political science. The first category, which requires more attention, is applied research. As it is indicated by its very name, that it is something related to the applied side of the issue. Or suppose if we are getting an issue and we want to bring urgent solution for that, so in that context applied research is used, because it always tries to settle practical and real life problems. The research may or may not be designed to contribute to any theory. This is an important point of applied research, that the research or conclusions that we draw from our research may not contribute to the theory of knowledge. Another interesting feature of it is that those who are involved in applied research, they usually keep the data hidden for certain purposes, and they do not even publish their findings in the academic journals, because they usually want first to apply those conclusions or findings on their relevant projects, businesses, and other things. And on applied type of research, usually projects are being given high funding, and they provide it, and this type of research is very much useful for policymakers, business, industries, and like the same. One other important feature of applied research is that sometimes it may create a new theory or may add something to the existing theory, and hence it contributes a lot as far as the researcher is concerned. For example, why voters voted in a particular way? What were the reasons that a segment of society voted their votes in a specific manner in an election? By this I mean to say that this study may or may not examine how voters' attitudes, their beliefs and values influenced their voting behavior, but this will just show us the other form of research, which is usually known as experimental research. This is that form of research in which a hypothesis or a compound set of hypotheses is tested, which are called null hypothesis or alternative hypothesis. Inshallah ta'ala, in the lecture I will give a brief lecture on hypothesis, their types, null hypothesis. Just keep these things in your mind temporarily for the moment. The findings are then presented as support for the original theoretical proposition that led to conducting the experiment. Do remember that this is indeed the testing of a presumed hypothesis or presumption or prese. Researchers try to ensure that other factors that might affect their dependent variables, the variable that they are trying to explain, those are called dependent variables, can be kept constant. This approach is often adopted by social scientists as it allows them to make causal inferences about a phenomena. Unlike survey research, experimental research allows researchers to infer that changes in the dependent variables are caused by changes in the independent variables. It has another added benefit of allowing social scientists to determine causality. Do remember that in such hypothesis, the causality factor, the factor which causes the happening of an event, that is being understood or uncovered by the researchers. Examples can be a study testing gender quotas and its impact on party systems, or simply studying whether affirmative action policies affect people's attitudes towards blacks in the West, particularly in USA. These types of social issues can be analyzed and can be sorted out through the adoption of this form of research. Another type of research which is generally known as survey research. There are samples are usually collected, and those collected samples are tested, and the respondents are gauged on the basis of how they preferred their preferences. And the survey method involves posing a series of questions or statements to the respondents and then recording their responses. The information gathered from this approach is used to explain relationships between variables which are not amenable for explanation by other methods. For example, a survey method could be useful in testing a hypothesis about the relationship between political identification and attitudes towards immigration. These are usually Western examples. One limitation of this approach is that it can only provide information about the respondents directly surveyed and cannot make inferences about the general population. So this is also very much good form of research in which the preferences, attitudes, beliefs, priorities of the respondents can be ascertained so easily, and on the basis of that, findings can be drawn. The other most important form of research that is known as phenomenological research. Phenomenological phenomena. Phenomenological research simply means, and it focuses on describing phenomena closely as they are experienced by individuals rather than explaining them. In such sorts of research, the phenomenology or the phenomena is observed by the researcher without explaining it, and he sees that how this phenomena is occurring. It aims at developing an understanding of how phenomena are subjectively felt, thought about, and acted upon. This approach is useful in studying phenomena which are not observable or do not lend themselves to be observed, such as beliefs, attitudes, and experiences. For example, a researcher could use phenomenological research to explore how people from different cultures understand their nation's foreign policy goals, or how people make sense of their political environment. The other important part of the research or type of research that is known as historical research is, it is evident from its heading, it is usually based on history, and this research is conducted in order to explain why certain historical events happened by testing various theoretical propositions. An example could be using this approach in order to explain the collapse of the Soviet Union, or understanding why certain Chinese dynasties collapsed, or explaining why some communist regimes collapsed and others did not. For example, if you want to apply it on Pakistani circumstances, why the presidential system of Ayub Khan failed, why the BD system is introduced by Ayub Khan met its unnatural fate. In the same way, we can, even in the light of this approach, historical approach, analyze the Musharraf regime, that how and what policies of him were good and what were not good for the people at this time. In the same way, ethnographic research is also important one, because in this research, the researchers study a group over a long period to gain an understanding about their worldview. Worldview means कि उनका अपना व्यू किस तरह का है वर्ल्ड के हवाले से. यानी every person perceives the world in accordance with his belief, his preferences and his orientations. So worldviews, beliefs and norms. It is useful in studies which require the researcher to establish rapport with participants who are likely to be very guarded towards an unknown individual. For example, a researcher can use ethnographic research to study how individuals participate in social movements, or why Indian Muslims do not participate in riots which are taking place in India, unfortunately. There are so many other types of research, for example, action research, participatory action research, and so many others, quasi-experimental research, perspective and prescriptive research, content analysis research. But inshallah ta'ala, in the next lecture, we will shed light on some of the most important components of research, and in the next lecture you will have a full grasp on the meaning and understanding of what research methodology is, and in fourth or fifth lecture we will guide our students how to make a good proposal and how to convert that research proposal into an effective dissertation. Thank you very much. मैं आप लोगों से अगेन गुजारिश करता हूँ कि प्लीज़ मेरे इस चैनल को ज़रूर सब्सक्राइब करें. शायद ये आप लोगों का एक ज़बरदस्त लाइफ टाइम डिसीजन हो. थैंक यू वेरी मच. जज़ाकल्लाह. अस्सलामु अलैकुम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुहू. वमा अलैना इल्लल बलाग. थैंक यू.